I'm not, I would put this face everywhere and say, this is
yeah, they should lean on that more.
Yeah.
Greetings, everyone. Greetings. Allow a few more people to come in. Thank y'all for coming. Before we get started, just to remind you, we have snacks and we have drinks over here in the corner. So please help yourself. All right, again, thank you all so much. If you don't know me, my name is Jeff. I'm the president of Saginaw Cap. And again, I appreciate everybody coming out. This is an important time for us. This forum was put together for that very purpose. I know they say at every election that it's important. This election is the most important. But I'll repeat that phrase because this is the most important election of my lifetime. It really is. Not only on a national level, but on a state level, on a local level. I see some candidates in the room right now. It's unprecedented, at least in my lifetime, and I'm 48 years old. I haven't seen this many seats open at one time. We're talking numerous city council seats. The whole county building is up for re-election. I mean, it's so many, and that's just here. And so this forum was put together based on the last forum that we had. You all wanted a forum where we could talk about the actual ballot and actually go down the ballot. And so when the people ask for something like that, we aim to give it to you. We aim to set it up. I want to thank Hurley Coleman and CAC for hosting us today. He's been great, and that's an understatement. Anytime we wanted to do something in the community, he's been more than open, and there he is. He just popped out of his office. Thank you. Hurley's been great, man, so thank you so much, man. I appreciate you so much. But without further ado, let's get into it. I don't want to hold you too long. I know I can talk a little bit, but so we're going to have a presentation of the actual ballot, and the person that's going to do that is somebody that's always been gracious to Saginaw Cap, and we appreciate you. She is Vanessa Garrett. She's our county clerk.
Woo, thank you.
Hello? Oh, there you go. Okay, so good evening, everyone. My name is Vanessa Guerra. I serve as the county clerk. I've been here for the past 4 years in this position. Our office has 3 main functions. So the one I'm here to talk about today is the administration of elections. We work in conjunction with the local clerks to make sure that your ballots are secure and accurate, have been tested, and they are tabulated the way that you plan to vote them. The other thing we do in our office is vital records, so that's your birth, death, marriage certificates, and third is circuit court records. So if you ever found yourself in the unfortunate position of a custody battle or a divorce, you have probably visited the circuit court records office. But today's all about elections, and the presentation today I've given lots of times throughout the year. Every time I did it for February, and we did it here in August. So it may be very familiar to some of you, but that's okay, it's a good thing. I think the more times you hear this information, the more ingrained in your head it will become, and you can share it and feel comfortable sharing it with your friends and family members. Okay, so we're going to jump right into early voting, is the first thing I have here. So in 2022, the Michigan Constitution was changed by the voters, and they said that they wanted 9 days of early in-person voting. For a long time, we referred to early voting here in Michigan, and it was really just absentee voting, because absentee voting is a form of early voting, but what we have now is true in-person early voting. It goes from the second Saturday before Election Day through the Sunday before Election Day. So something very important to note here, you'll see that red X. It does not go all the way up until Election Day. It stops the Sunday before. So on Monday, if you know you're not going to be able to make it to the polls on Election Day, your only early voting option would be to stop by your local clerk and vote an absentee ballot. Otherwise, you can't. The only other option is to vote on that Tuesday, Election Day. Important that when you're talking about this, to let people know that this does not mean we'll have early results. Results are not tabulated until 8 p.m. on Election Day, just like all of the Election Day precincts. So it's not that we'll have early results, we just have the option to tabulate your ballot early. Early voting takes place at the Early Vote Center. Currently, we have one in Saginaw County. It is located adjacent to the courthouse. So I say, if you can find the courthouse, you can find the Early Vote Center. And parking is free, so you'll park in the lots. We share the parking lot with the courthouse, and you can park in there. We run 9 to 5 for all days except for Wednesday. That's our late day, and we're open 11 to 7. So it ends up encompassing 2 weekends with early voting. So you have 2 opportunities on the weekends to grab your aunts, uncles, cousins, friends, and drag them down here and make sure that they vote. Because we want to encourage people to utilize this. It's a new service. Not a lot of people know about it. We hope more people will use it in November. It's important to note here as well, it's open to any registered voter. The law specifically does not allow us to register voters at the Early Vote Center. So if, for example, we had this in August, we had a mom come with her son, and mom was registered, able to vote, but the son had just turned 18, and so he still needed to register. And so he couldn't vote at the Early Vote Center. He had to go register with his local clerk, and then he could come back and vote. So just if you have anybody who's not registered, that's the only service we don't provide at the Early Vote Center. Here, and forgive our terrible streets, we're going to work on getting that paid. But this is the parking lot you will enter. As I said, on the right is the courthouse, and then on the left here, this building is where the Early Vote Center is. Another picture of it. If you have someone you're bringing who has trouble walking, they can park in this middle section, this front section right there. Once you walk into the Early Vote Center, this is what you'll see. So you'll go to the left, you'll fill out your application to vote, just like you would if you visited your Election Day polling place. And then you'll move over to the right, and they'll check to make sure that you're a registered voter here in Saginaw County, and they will give you the ballot that aligns with whatever jurisdiction you live in. So again, whether you live in Bridgeport or Branch or in the city of Saginaw, Tittabawassee Township, wherever you live in Saginaw County, you can come here and vote. Once you're checked in, we'll escort you into this room, and you'll fill out your ballot on the left in those poll booths, and then on the right, you'll run your ballot through this tabulator. And it's unlike your Election Day precinct, we have a lot of those tabulators because we're taking ballots from across the county. So typically on Election Day, maybe there's 1 or 2 tabulators in your Election Day polling precinct, but because we take everybody's ballot, we have a lot more of them. Okay, moving on to registering to vote. You can register to vote a lot of places. I really encourage people, because it's so easy, to do it online. You can do it online at michigan.gov/vote. And you can do that all the way up until the 14th day before the election. Because the closer we get to Election Day, they shut down the online registration, and you have to go register in person with your local clerk to be able to vote in that election that's happening 15 days later. Because you have to prove residency. There's just more requirements to ensure that you're not somebody who's trying to move from jurisdiction to jurisdiction. So I encourage people to get it done before October 21st and do it online because it's the simplest way to do it. Another thing I would mention is absentee ballots. There has been a change, again, after the constitutional amendment. Another change that came about is that Michigan now has a permanent absentee ballot option. Previously, before 2024, you had to submit an absentee ballot application every time you wanted to, every election cycle, that you wanted to receive an absentee ballot. Now Michigan says you can fill out that absentee ballot application just once, and you can automatically receive your ballot for any election that you're eligible to vote for the rest of your life until you move or anything like that. But the way to do it is you have to sign up for this option. So if you haven't done so already, there on the application, there's a box in the upper right corner. Your application may look slightly different. They vary from jurisdiction to jurisdiction. But you have to check a box that says, yes, I want to be added to the automatic ballot list. I'm really encouraging people to do that because if you're someone who every election cycle, your local clerk has been sending you an absentee ballot application, you're on the permanent application list. Well, that permanent application list, it's going away, and you will not automatically be moved to the permanent ballot list. You have to select yourself to join that list. So make sure at some point in 2024, whether you do it via paper application, you can just go into your clerk and sign something saying you want to be added. Make sure you do that at some point before the end of the year so that for any elections we have in 2025 and of course 2026, you'll just automatically get your ballot sent to you. You can also apply for an absentee ballot. If you haven't done so already, you can of course do it in person at your local clerk's office. But it's another option that Michigan has made easier. You can do it online, and you can encourage your friends and family members to apply for the absentee ballot online as well. And it's the same website that if you want to register or apply for an absentee ballot, michigan.gov/vote. The other nice thing is that if you apply for an absentee ballot online, you can choose that automatic ballot list that I was just talking about. Okay, so the ballot. If you recall in August, we talked a lot about staying in your lane. So in the August primary, Michigan election law says that you cannot cross-vote. In November, you have a couple of different options. One that I always like to point out is you will see the return of straight party ticket, the straight party voting option. So if you are a tried and true Democrat, you can fill in that Democratic circle at the very top there, and it will give a vote to all the Democratic candidates on the partisan side of the ballot. But don't forget to flip your ballot over because there's a nonpartisan side that has the judges. We have a very important judicial race here in Michigan for the Michigan Supreme Court. It has the judicial races, the city council races, and if you're a city resident, it has a proposal, as well as Delta College. So if you're a straight ticket voter, just don't forget to switch it over and look at that nonpartisan section. The other thing I like to point out about straight party voting is that maybe you're a tried and true Democrat, but there is a Republican that you like. You can still fill on your Democratic bubble, and then for that one Republican that you like, you can't individually fill in that bubble for that person, and all of the Democrats will get your vote except for the Republican in that context. It won't cancel out your straight ticket vote if you do that. And of course, the same is true as if you try to be Republican, it works the same that way too. Alternatively, you don't have to vote straight party ticket. You can just go down and fill in the bubbles. And you can also, part of me hesitates to say this, but I do it all the time. You do not have to fill in a bubble for every single contest. So for the most part, most candidates have a Facebook page or they have a website, somewhere I can go to learn about them. But if they don't have anything like that, Facebook's free, you can make a Facebook page, and I can't learn anything, then I just leave it blank, and that's acceptable. Your ballot will still be counted for all of the other races, but I just feel like candidates gotta have a little something out there. Oh, we talked about the nonpartisan section. Do not forget, flip your ballot over. As Jeff said, there are a lot of things on the November ballot, which is why voting absentee is really nice because you can take it home and sit with it and look at all the different things that you're being asked to vote on. If you do vote absentee ballot, they should be hitting mailboxes. I know some city residents got them already. I think mine is due to come to me this week. Once you get it, it'll come in a blue envelope, and this is from the city, so we'll all have blue ones. You open it up, and you take your ballot out, you complete it. You'll notice that there is a stub attached at the top. Leave that stub, it looks like it makes you want to pull it off because it has perforated edges, but leave that attached. That's how your local clerk knows that that is the ballot that was issued to you. So fill out your ballot, you'll put it in a secrecy sleeve, and then you'll put it in this purple return envelope. The most important part about the return envelope is that you sign and date it. Don't forget to do that, or else the local clerk won't be able to tabulate your ballot without your signature. They will attempt to contact you if they can figure out it's you, but if not, your ballot won't be counted. The other way you can return it, and if you return it by mail, you no longer have to pay for postage. Postage is now covered. You can put it in the drop box. You can take it to your local clerk's office in person. You can bring it to the early vote center and tabulate it yourself, or you can bring it to your polling place on election day and run it through the tabulator yourself as well. A lot of different options to return. If you still have your ballot and it's 2 weeks before the election, I strongly encourage you to bring it in person or to use that drop box option, because I love USPS, but they get very busy this time of year, and we get ballots that come to us months after the election all the time. So the closer we get to the election, just put in the drop box at your local clerk's office, or bring it in person to your local clerk. Whenever I meet with groups, I also kind of quickly like to mention, I know we have a lot of do-gooders in this group, and so I want to make sure you're doing good and following the law when it comes to election law. The most common question that I get is usually my church ladies, they want to fill out their ballot together. And like they want to have like cookies and snacks and like fill out their ballot. You can't do that. You can only fill out your ballot amongst members of your own household. So, husband and wife, of course, they can sit at a table and fill them out together, but you can't have like a ballot party or anything like that. And I get it, it makes a lot of sense. You're like-minded, you want to help each other out. Don't do that. You cannot do that. Also, if you're encouraging voting, you can't give people financial incentives to vote. So don't do anything like, well, it's actually a raffle. Just don't do that at all. It's another violation of election law. So in short, the November election is Tuesday, November 5th, but really that's the last day to vote. We have a lot of time to vote before that, so November 5th is just the last time to vote. And a helpful hint, the earlier you vote, the less text messages and junk mail you'll get, because the campaigns have systems where they can see that you've returned an absentee ballot, so they'll stop harassing you. And I've been a candidate who harasses people, so no shade to any of the other candidates out there. You can start voting in person as early as Saturday, October 26th, all the way through Sunday, November 3rd. If you enjoy voting absentee, make sure you sign up for the automatic ballot list, because the permanent application list is ending. And if you return your absentee ballot, you can do it by mail with postage paid. In person at your local clerk's office, at a drop box at your city hall or township hall, or bring it to the early vote center, or bring it to your election day precinct. So there's been a lot of changes in Michigan election law, but we will keep repeating these changes so everyone can read them like the back of their hand, and like I said, tell your friends and family members so that they feel more comfortable voting in this election. So that's all I have. Do I have any questions or anything? Yes.
2 questions. One, if I vote absentee, do you mail me my I voted sticker?
So the absentee ballots are handled by a local clerk. That's a very valid question. So some local clerks buy the envelopes that have the sticker attached. Unfortunately, I'm also a city resident. The city does not do that. So if you go absentee in the city, you're not going to get a sticker. But if you drop it off to the early vote center, you will get a sticker.
My second question is voting straight ticket. Just for clarification, you can vote straight ticket But if you see somebody in a different party,
Yeah.
you can vote straight ticket, but then select a person from another party, right?
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. So you'll fill in your bubble. Type to Republican. You fill in your Republican bubble. But then there's one Democrat you like, and you go to that contest, and you fill in the bubble for their name, and that one Democrat will get your vote.
So, just because on the Supreme Court side, isn't there like a vote for no more than two selection? Because they're not all head to head, right?
Right. So,
For Supreme Court?
for the Supreme Court, there is a partial term, and then there's a regular term. And I think the one we hear most about is probably the regular term. But that's a vote for not more than one.
Okay, because what I was wondering is if there are like multiple seats in one election and you cross over and vote for like one Republican, how does it allocate your other vote if there's more than one Democrat?
So there's no, on the partisan section, there's no option to vote for more than one.
Okay.
Yeah, so you'll be okay in the partisan section. And then in the non-partisan section, it doesn't apply. So you don't have to worry about that.
Okay, great.
Yep. Three?
Thanks, Vanessa. So no matter what jurisdiction I live in Saginaw County, I can come into the early voting center.
Yes.
And I can just fill out the application there, and I can vote as, in that moment that I'm in the
Yes.
voting center, right?
Yep.
Okay, and I also, if I would like, I can bring my absentee ballot that I filled out, and I can watch it be tabulated at the
Yes. And I'm glad you brought that up, because you're gonna run your ballot through. So in February, we had a mom who brought her absentee ballot, and she also brought her son's. And so we had to explain, no, you're going to take that to the drop box because you can only run your own ballot through. So we're not collecting them at the early vote center. And the same is true at a precinct on election day. We don't collect them. We just give you the option to tabulate it yourself.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And it's not illegal for her to take someone else's ballot and put it into the drop box.
She can be in possession of anyone in her immediate household. And I believe on the back of the absentee ballot, if you assist somebody, you do have to attest that you assisted that
And
person.
Christine is putting it into the drop box.
So on here, it says they have to be an authorized election official or a member of the immediate household or household who the absent voter has asked to return the ballot. So yes, if you return it for somebody else, you still have to sign that. Yes.
Could you explain the writing process?
Yes, yep. So we have some writing candidates who are running for positions. You have to know the person that you're voting for because it's against Michigan election law for an election inspector we can't provide you the list of writing candidates in the precinct. And so it's really incumbent on writing candidates to get their name out there because we're not going to give them a list in the precinct. And so when you come to the precinct, you have to know who's running as a write-in. And then you have to write that person's name as close to their official name as possible. So if Robert Smith is running as a write-in candidate and you put Bob Smith, that would be an acceptable variation of that person's name. But if they put Donald Smith, and again, the person's name is Robert Smith, the canvassers, those are the ones who make that determination, they more than likely would not accept that because that's not a common variation of Robert Smith. And then make sure you know that the person is a file writing candidate. We get people who put in names of people who they think are writing candidates, but you have to file paperwork to be official write-in. So as long as that person's official write-in and they've done their job of educating their voters, all they have to do is write it in the ballot in the blank spot, and then fill in the circle.
So is that true for like precinct delegates? You have applied in order to write yourself in as one?
Yes, that is true. The only difference with precinct delegates and other write-in candidates is that precinct delegates can be a write-in candidate all the way up until including on election day. And so it gets a little messier with that because there's a lot of people who don't know who's running for precinct delegate because they might have filed on election day, but they have to have filed official paperwork with the county clerk in that instance, whereas write-in candidates file with their local clerk.
Okay.
Yeah.
One more. So what if Robert Smith? I want to run this. Can I put R. Smith?
I would say that the canvassers would likely accept that, and Again, it's a determination by canvassers, there's 2 Democrats, 2 Republicans, they're the one who make that final determination. But I think it would be likely that they would accept that. Because that's a close variation of the first, but I can't speak for them. Anybody else?
Who are the canvassers?
The Republicans are Bill Azelton and Sue Garfield. The Democrats are Judith Lincoln and Kyle Bassler. And they've been doing
There's no
number.
conflict of passion.
What was that?
There's no conflict.
No, no. And it's a public meeting that they meet at. They canvass the election after every election. I serve as clerk to the board of canvassers, so I'm there with them. But yes, they have the final jurisdiction over write-ins. Anybody else? Yeah.
Can you explain the millage language at all? Back to the blue one for me?
So, in the clerk's office, we try hard to only go far as explaining what the ballot says, because it could be interpreted that we're for or against the proposal. If I go much beyond that, I can say that it's maybe we could talk about it after. But in my official capacity, I don't feel comfortable talking about it. The ballot is on there. If you want the longer language, we do have that available in the county clerk's office. But I would encourage you to read it closely.
Yes.
Anybody else? Okay, I'm going to stick around to 7:30. We have election inspector training happening at SDSU, so I do have to leave right at 7:30.
Everybody give Vanessa a hand. Thank you so much. All right. So we'll get right into the ballots. I guess you can have you. Nice is going to pass out ballots. We're going to go through Saginaw City's ballot first. We have Saginaw City's ballot. We have Saginaw Township's ballot. We have Vista's ballot. And we have Bridgeport's ballot.
You don't need one.
While those are being passed out, if you notice on the screen, I'm going right to the Saginaw County website because I want you to see that this is something that you can do on your own. If you go to SaginawCounty.com, you can find your ballot. You can find any ballot in the state. Well, in the county, I'm sorry. Right now, we're going to do Saginaw City. So if you see, I went to state general for this year. Go down to Saginaw County.
Is it, do you have the full language? Okay.
Jurisdiction will be Saginaw City. And I'll just select precinct number 1. As you can see, I filled out all of the drop boxes. And now you can just view your ballot. Voila. Does everybody have a ballot? A copy of the ballot, I'm sorry. Okay. Vanessa's actually going to pass out some bigger ones. She has some actual sample ballots. for Saginaw City, because they're special. Rose, take care of my great nephew. Thank you very much. All right. All right, so let's take a look at this ballot here. We'll start on the left side and go down, and then we'll come back up to the right side and go down. The left side, of course, is the partisan side. Of course, we start with the president, as you can see. Of course, Kamala Harris, Donald Trump. And if you didn't know, I know that we get a lot of money into the Democratic and Republican candidates. But as you can see, there are other parties. They don't have a lot of money, but they're always on the ballot. You see the Libertarian Party, the U.S. Taxpayers Party candidate, the Green Party candidate, the Natural Law Party candidate, and then you have a couple that have no party affiliation. As you go down, the congressional seat, which is the U.S. Senator seat. Here in Michigan, you have Slotkin, of course, Mike Rogers, Joseph Mullen, Dave Stein, Doug Marsh, and Doug Durbin. So that here in our district, you have a U.S. Senator seat, and then you also have a United States Representative seat, which is right under it, which is the seat that Kristen McDonald-Rivet is running for, Paul Young is running for, and other candidates, the Libertarian candidate, U.S. Taxpayers candidate, so on and so forth. After that, then you come to the state. And you have a bunch of these, and I'll be honest, these are races that I don't want to pay attention to. I'll just be really honest. At least on the state level, you have regents for the University of Michigan, the state board. I mean, outside of our own Pam Pugh, who's the president of the State Board of Education, but she's not running. She ran a couple years ago, so she's safe for now. But going down, all the way down, as you can see, you have the trustees of the different universities, University of Michigan, Michigan State, Wayne State, so on and so forth. Then you get to the county. And as I stated before, everything at the county building is open, everything, including our clerk. But we got you. We got you. I can't. That's as far as I can go with C3, but we got you. Ain't no odds in no way. But, yeah, most of these races, at least like the prosecutor, the sheriff, well, the sheriff actually has an opponent. The sheriff does have an opponent, Sheriff Federschool, he has an opponent in Jason Wise. But, you see the prosecutor, the attorney, the clerk, treasurer, Tim Novak, register of deeds, so on and so forth. They don't have an opponent, so they're pretty much, they're going to come back in. Any questions so far? Any questions so far? All right. Okay.
I do got a question.
Yes.
Why is the Supreme Court justice separated like that?
There is a partial term and a full term.
So same
that's
thing,
up.
okay,
Right,
so,
yes,
okay.
yeah. And the thing about nonpartisan that I didn't mention, at the Supreme Court level, they are still nonpartisan, but they do get endorsed by political parties, only at the Supreme Court level. And so you can research to find out which parties have endorsed which candidates for Michigan Supreme Court.
Okay, that's good. Thank you.
All right. Any other questions? If not, we'll go to the right side of the ballot on the front,
Is there marketing?
which is, of course, we continue on the county level.
Yes.
Public Works Commissioner, County Commissioner, and of note, this ballot is for District Number 1. So you see, and I don't know which ones you have, but depending on the district that you're in, it'll show that particular county commissioner race and only that one. Like you don't vote for all of the county commissioners races. You vote for the one that's in your district, just so they're clear. So
We all have precinct 1, just so you know.
you all have precinct 1? Okay, so that race is for precinct 1, which is Gerald Little, who's a Democrat, and Terry Elvers, who's the Republican. So now we get to the nonpartisan section, which is the Supreme Court.
Yeah, some have precinct 2 and 3.
So some of you have 2
On
and
their
3?
sample ballots, yeah.
Okay, so that's usually where you get the changes, like depending on the district you're in. So the district that you're in, it'll show a different race for the county commissioners. Like, so we're in District 1, so Gerald Little is in ours. I don't know who's in District 2 or who's in District 3, but it should be different. So of course you have all the judges here, judges of the Supreme Court, Kyra Harris Bowden, and others, Stephen Borrello. A lot of these are unopposed. Of note, the 10th Circuit Court. If you see, you have Judge Gaffney on there and Judge Jackson. If you see, it says vote for no more than 2. So you can actually vote for both of those in that section. You can vote for both of them because you're picking 2. Just to note that. Then you go down, of course, to Terry Clark, running unopposed. I think it's his last term, actually. And then you get to the community college board of trustees, which is, those are local. Those are people that, usually we know. You have Michael Rowley, Stacey Gannon, and Alexis Thomas that are running for trustee seats for Delta College. Now we get to City Council. City Council here in the city of Saginaw. You have Charles Allen, who's president, Annie Bench, Eric Braddock, who's president, George Copeland, Monica Lamar Sylvia, who's president, Bill Ostash, J.J. Seals, Charles Sledge, Mike Thompson, Heidi Wiggins, and Toby Young. Those are all your city council, the people that are running for city council. Of note, as you can see in that section, it says vote for no more than 5. So you pick 5 in that section. Then if you look at the next section down, you have a partial seat. You have a partial seat for city council, which Carly Rose Hammond is in.
And we got a write-in, Reggie Williams.
Of note, we have a write-in for that particular seat as well, which is Reggie Williams. On the actual ballot, it'll have a blank under there. And so, if I'm saying that right,
Yep.
it'll be a blank in there. And so, you write the write-in candidate's name in, if that's what you choose to do. Now you go to local school board. Local school board. Of course, you have Todd Carpenter Boone, you have Jasmine Calhoun, you have the incumbent, Charles Coleman, another incumbent, Vera Harrison, another incumbent who's present, Ms. Ruth Ann Knapp, and another new candidate, Tara Riley Munson, who's present. And that's the full ballot, other than the proposal, which is the last thing that will probably be on the back of the ballot. This is a full ballot, so you'll have a front and a back. This proposal, more than likely, will be on the back of the ballot, all the way at the bottom. So just make sure that you review your ballot. And we have one proposal here in November. That proposal is a proposal to amend the city charter by adding a new chapter, which is, I don't know if you guys heard of the Back the Blue, initiative that's trying to get passed. But that initiative, they're trying to change the city charter. Without going into it any deeper, at least myself. But does anybody have any questions or comments about that?
Yeah, I really wanted to bring up the Back the Blue petition, or rather, it got enough petitions to be on the ballot. I've dug into this because it's I didn't know where this came from. So I started looking by looking at the county campaign finance records, because a ballot petition needs to file at the county level to local petition. So I checked that out, and it does have a filing at the county level. They have filed their statement of organization in their July quarterly finance report. So what's interesting about that is the person, and I'm not going to name them here, but if you want to talk to me afterwards, because I've done my research on it, that person who filed it, just so you know, has a public political affiliation. They are the deputy campaign director for Paul Young for Congress. So that is who filed the actual petition. So set that aside. In their campaign finance filings, this group has vended over $40,000 to a random LLC in the city of Saginaw that I haven't been able to find any information on for petition collection services, which is very rare. You don't see people spending $40,000 on local ballot petitions. That is very strange. I also checked out at the state level, they have several other municipalities that they're involved in, totaling through 5 municipalities, including Saginaw, about, I think it's $880,000, almost $1 million, through different municipalities to pass this petition. But in most municipalities, it's failed to get enough petitions to appear on the ballot. So what that means to me through campaign finance reports, it's very fishy. You don't see that kind of money being spent. It's all vended through third parties, through nonprofits that I haven't been able to find information on. Nonprofits don't need to report their donors, and they're vended through they're all vended through small LLCs that don't have any outward-facing information. So it's very hard to find real information about this group. But what I also will tell you from their own website and their own publication, they are not endorsed by any formal police union or firefighters union or any organization. I know who was here 2 seconds ago. Eileen, who's here, she's the county party chair for the Dems. She's a retired firefighter. She actually went and talked to the firefighters organization about this. They do not support this ballot proposal. And the reason why is that the language is very vague, and that compensation for victims and police officers and fire is laid out in contracts. They're negotiated by their unions. They're very solid. It's a very long proposal. Their financing is a history, a mile long. So this evening it comes out of nowhere by a completely unaffiliated group that's spending a whole lot of money to put this on the ballot. So that's my research that I've done individually. I'd be willing to share it with anybody who wants to know more. I believe MLive is going to be talking about it, at least in a way, talking about the local history and publishing the full language. But it's really strange. I just wanted to put that out there. That's from my research. The money's really weird. The language is very vague. This is not how you see ballot petitions that are trying to accomplish something like very specific. It's just really weird. So that's from my research, and I'd be willing to share it with anybody who's willing to check it out.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Ken.
I'm sorry, you referred to the city council?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
that's all I need to
Yeah.
know. Okay.
Any other questions on the city proposal? I have one. Has anybody heard of it?
I have a question. If that's the case, who's working to let people know that? Because the way it reads, if you hadn't shared all
Yeah.
that, I would consider voting yes. It sounds reasonable.
So, yeah, I found that information out on my own independent research about a week and a half ago, just from doing some digging myself, because somebody called me and asked me, what is this? It's on my ballot. So, like I said, I know that I believe my wife is looking at publishing something on it. Other than that, start talking to people about it. I'm here because I wanted to share that with you guys in this setting. But yeah, it's weird. It seems to be a lot of funding from out of state. I will tell you that all of the vended money came from a nonprofit out of Georgia. So Athens, Georgia. So yeah, I've really never seen anything like it, and I've looked at a lot of campaign finance reports. So.
Thank you so much. I hadn't heard anything about it, to be honest. And, I'm always leery about something. If you notice, it wants to amend the city charter.
It's
It's
big.
something that's really important to note. It's not just something that they want to pass, like they want
No.
to amend the city charter. So
There's a website that's.
without being partisan, I can't be partisan, but a little fishy, that's all I'll say. But that completes the Saginaw ballot. Any questions on any part of the Saginaw City ballot? Yes.
Question on the Delta College village. Can you vote for all three county candidates or just your own county?
All three. It's unique in that you'll notice it says your Bay County representative, your Midland representative, your Saginaw County. We all get the option to vote for them all, but we have one person who represents us. So in Saginaw County, our representative would be Alexis Thomas, but we still have the option and right to vote for all three of them.
Which is kind of interesting because they could decide our rep too.
Yes, yeah.
Any other questions? Yes, sir.
VV votes for Bay County School Board?
They are
Yeah.
a district.
So we have several jurisdictions that we call split jurisdictions because part of BV, they have Bay County, part of it votes in Frankenmuth School District, part of BV votes for Bridgeport schools, and part of them vote for Saginaw City and for Reese. So
Which
kudos
is
to
the
the
next ballot
BV
we're gonna
Township
do.
clerk. It makes for a very complicated election.
Okay. All right. If we don't have any other questions for the Saginaw City ballot, any other questions for Saginaw City ballot?
Can you repeat that last part of your saying?
About BV?
About the
Yep, so, depending on where you live, everybody may live in Bridgeport Township, let's say. Actually, Bridgeport's a bad example because they have one school district. Let's talk about BV. Everybody may live in Buena Township, but the school districts also play a role in determining your jurisdiction. So you may be a BV resident who has the option to send your kids to Bay City schools. You could be in another part of BV, and your option is to send them to Saginaw City schools, and you could still be in BV, but in another area, and send your kids to Reese or Bridgeport. I think there's 5 of them. There's 5 different school districts that you could potentially have representing you if you're a BV resident.
Similar to, they don't live in our city,
Yep.
but they're part of our school district.
Yes, so Milwaukee Township and Milwaukee City residents live in their respective jurisdictions, but their school district, they're represented by the city of Saginaw.
So
Yes.
you couldn't
Yeah.
live anywhere in BV and select to send your child to Franklin. It only would be a select.
It's a certain portion of BV. Yeah, you can't just live in BV proper, period. You have to live in the portion that's drawn into Frankenmuth schools or Bridgeport, etc. It's very complicated.
So that's just, okay, so if I,
Would you be able to vote for the school board members?
Yes. Milwaukee votes for Saginaw City school board members.
If you can bring up let's go ahead and look at the BV ballot if you haven't pulled it out already.
I didn't bring BV.
I'm passing.
Oh, she does.
I think she passed it on already, so.
The BV schools one?
Yes.
Well, you have a BV ballot.
In 20.
Does everybody have a BV ballot?
2013.
All right. So if you look at the BV ballot,
Yeah, that's
it's
fine.
mostly the same, mostly. Without going through the presidential and all of those. It's mostly the same, federally. And even on the state level, it's mostly the same. If you look at, from all the state stuff on to the county, because they're in the same county, Saginaw County. So the left side is pretty much the same. If you go down the right side of the ballot, that's when it starts to change, once you get to the actual township itself. Now you're looking at the elections for the BV supervisor, which is Chris Dillard currently, and she doesn't have an opponent. The BV township clerk, the other Nicole Taylor, who doesn't have an opponent. The treasurer, Amy Whitson, who doesn't have an opponent. Now you get to the trustees, however. If you look, it says vote for not more than 4. And you have 5 candidates there. So you have to choose your 4 in that category. If you go down, all of the judges are the same in Saginaw City. Because those judges are county judges. The community college is the same. But you see a glaring difference with the school districts, because you have 3 different school districts, as Vanessa was just talking about. They can vote in 3 different districts because BV lost their school district, and it was split into 3. So some people went this way, some people went this way, some people went this way. So you have.
Clarify on that one.
Yes.
You see 3 school districts, but you live in precinct 1, you're not voting for all 3. The state's website just shows you potentially which one you could live in. So you could be BV Township Precinct 1, and you could be a Reese school voter, or your neighbor across the street might actually be the Bay City school voter, or across the other street might be the Frankenmuth school district. So it's very complicated and very important to know what precinct and what school district you live in. Your local clerk will know that when we check in, but it's good for you to know that too.
So they give you the ballots that are organized at the lowest level on the precinct level. So they'll kind of like tell you what school district that is, but does it invalidate your vote if you try to vote for in all 3 of those elections?
It won't be on their ballot.
Okay.
So when the voter checks in,
Okay.
the poll worker looks them up and it says, usually it says like precinct 1 RS. So they know to give them the Reese ballot only.
Okay.
So you don't have to figure it out yourself on election day. So it's expected that the election worker will give you the one that's designated for you.
Okay. Sub precincts.
Yes.
Okay.
It's a pass.
Thank you so much, I appreciate that. All right, so other than that, on the BV ballot, back of the ballot, all the way down, they have one proposal as well. And in BV, they have a library village on their ballot. And trying to forget if it's a renewal. The current village that they have, they want to renew the village. So, in BV, which I'm trying to think where the library is.
Or maybe it's for the ones.
Oh, it's in Reese, I'm sorry. I believe I saw, yep, it's the Reese. So it might not even be in a certain person's district. If you're in the Reese district, then you'll vote for this proposal. Any questions on the BV ballot? Any questions? All right. Let's move along. I'll move to the next ballot here. Let's go to Saginaw Township. Saginaw Township. and again, it's the same thing here. Most of your federal, it's gonna be the same, president, your senators, all of your legislative, your state board, your regents, trustees, and even the county. It's all in the same county, so pretty much the left side is the same. Where it changes is once you get to the township section on the right-hand side. So you have the Saginaw Township Supervisor who's up for election, Gary Fandridge. You have a race for the actual clerk between Lisa Ingram and Janet Deneen. You have a treasurer's race between James Wickman and Steve Gerhardt. You have a trustee race. You have 6 candidates there. There to vote for 4. Park Commissioner. Looks like you have 5 names there, so it says vote for not more than 5. So they can vote. You can fill in all of those if you so choose. It's 5 there you can choose. Judicial is the same because they're in the county. The community college section is the same. They're in the county. And they have a Saginaw Township School District board race. If of note, in that section you vote for 2. There's 3 candidates there. You got Mary Ann Bird, Janice Collison, and Bradley Nykstead. And it looks like you have a partial term as well, and that person, David Booth, is running unopposed. And they have nothing else. They don't have any proposals or millages or anything like that. So pretty simple on that one. Any questions on the Saginaw Township board? Saginaw Township ballot. All right, we'll move to the last one, which is Bridgeport. All right, so bringing up Bridgeport, same thing. The federal is pretty standard, same across the boards. Except Saginaw City, we're the 94th district. Saginaw Township is in the 97th. So you have a difference there. In Saginaw City, we have Angus O'Neill on our ballot. On their ballot, in the 97th, they have Mark Putnam and Matt Bierlein for their 97th district seat. But actually, it shows on here that it has the 94th in there as well. I don't think that's going to be the same. State board, regents, all of the left side pretty much is the same. Then you get to the right side, county is the same, but then you get to the township because this is Bridgeport Township. You have the supervisor that's up for election, running unopposed. The clerk is running unopposed. The treasurer is running unopposed. Bridgeport trustees, you have 5. Looks like 5 candidates for 4 seats. Brando Adams, Roberta Placker, Calvin Williams, Bruce Kuznicki, and Cheryl McFarland. Judges are the same. Community college is the same. You have a couple township library board directors up. Actually, you have less candidates than how many seats
I was
are up.
gonna say, what, vote for no more than, does it say 6?
Yeah, it says 6, but you only have 4 people on here, so
Alright.
I guess they're still looking for 2 more. Their school district, look like they have 4 candidates and there's 4 seats, so look like all of those are probably gonna get in. You have Bridgeport, Carmen Castillo, Lucy Ann Irby, and Aaron Selansky. And they also have a partial term as well. That's kind of a theme too, you know, all these partial seats. So, but even the partial seats, you have 2 seats up, you have 2 candidates, so both of those partial seats will be filled. And then they have 1 proposal. And this looks like actually this is a new millage. Looks like this millage, let's see here, it's a $28.4 million millage. It's looking like for remodeling buildings in the district. Looks like this is a 30-year bond, I think it is. Yep, 30-year bond, $28 million bond for 30 years. So that's something that the residents of Bridgeport will have to consider on their ballot. Any questions about the Bridgeport ballot? All right, we're hearing none. I'll just open up the floor. Does anybody have any questions about anything on the ballot at all? Ballots, registering to vote, any other questions? Anything at all? Yes, ma'am?
I do have a question. Thank you very much. So a person that is not registered, they have to go to their city clerk, because I understood or thought I understood that you could register at your precinct. You did not do that?
I think you can register online up until about, I think 15 days out, something like that. You can do it online, but then once it gets closer to the election, they pretty much encourage you to go in person at that point because it might get lost in translation somewhere.
So you can actually register on election day.
Yes.
You just gotta bring a whole bunch of stuff with you.
And that's, the registration itself has to happen in front of your local clerk, so it's at your clerk's office.
So
I know, and what I said was you can register.
Yes.
most people in Michigan are registered. If they have a driver's license, they're registered automatically, right?
Yes. Yeah. And our clerk, Vanessa Guerra, has said this a lot, where we don't really have a registering issue. We have a turnout issue. Like, I think we're in the 90th percentile of people in our county that are actually registered. Maybe some of them don't know it, but they actually are registered. So we probably should encourage people to check their status, which is easy to do. It's multiple places where you can go and do that. I know you can do it on the state website. Karen, what's the site? Is it
Vote411.org.
Vote411.org. You can go on there. You can actually register. You can check your status. You can see your ballot. It's a cool tool to use. So vote411.org. Any other questions? All right. Well, if we don't have any other questions, before we close out, and again, I want to thank everybody for coming. I want to recognize all of the actual people who are running for office in the room. So I'll just call you out real quick if you can kind of stand up and wave for everybody. First person I want to call out is he's running for city council. It's Michael Thompson right here. Go ahead and stand up, Mike, so people can see you. All right. We have our incumbent, Ms. Monique Lamar Sylvia. All right. I don't think she can stand, but she can wave. We got Carly who's running for. Okay. She's running for city council as well. In the back, we have Tara Riley who's running for school board. Right next to her, we have Reggie Williams, who's running a write-in campaign for city council. Let's see, who else we got in the room? Who am I missing, y'all?
Charles Webb.
Oh, Charles Cohen? Okay. I thought that was Eric walking back in, but I think Eric must have left too. All right. Well, good luck to all of you that are running again, whether you're running a re-election campaign or a new campaign. We wanted to make you visible so that voters can see that they have options at the poll. It's really important that everybody votes, so please continue to encourage your family, your friends, and the people that you come in contact with to register to vote and actually vote, either in the early voting period, or they can sign up for absentee voting, or they can vote on election day. So I want to thank everybody for coming, and
Free bus service on election day.
free bus service. Oh, yeah, share the word. STARS is free on election day. So they can, if they don't have a ride, they can get on the bus for free. All right. Well, thank y'all again. Appreciate y'all.
Thank you.
All right. If y'all can sign our sign-in sheet up here, I appreciate it.
It's going around.
Is it going around? Okay, thank you.
The dates I heard are October 21st and October 26th.
Yeah. So we're kind of trying to stretch that in the business.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm worried to see, I'm worried that people are worried in this election. I'll see.
All right. Okay, thank you so much. Take care.
Thanks. Take care of that.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, you go right out that side door right there. Yeah, right.
Probably. I mean, I don't know. I just don't want to leave nothing. Yeah, this my stuff too. Of course, the live is still going. All right.